friends. A few weeks ago, several of you suggested that I do a video tour of my garden rather than still shots. So that's what we're doing today. Let's go on down to the gate and get started. My husband Vic built this gate, and I think it really turned out well. Let's go see the garden. Seven years ago, when we moved into our house, the area behind us was just hard clay. In fact, the terrace here was eroding, and even weeds didn't do well in the spring. But about 5 years ago, I developed a landscape plan and designed the garden to be a wildlife habitat and to have flowers blooming all times of the year. And this is the result. I planted star jasmine along the side of the staircase because it smells so good, and I wanted people to have a fragrant welcome to the garden. This is a magnolia tree, and it gets beautiful pink blooms in March of each year. About a month later, the cherry tree behind me comes into bloom, and then a few weeks after that, the Indian hawthorn comes into bloom. This is one of my favorite plants. It's an alstroemeria, otherwise known as a Peruvian lily. And when you have a stalk like this that's spent and doesn't have flowers on it anymore, just simply lift it out by the roots and you'll get more flowers right away. Deer are always present in this area. And because they don't have much natural food during the summer, whenever I prune my plants, I throw the prunings over the fence. One of their favorite food is daylilies, and I throw the wilted flowers out to them every day. Now that we've seen the deer, let's go back and see the birds in the back of the yard and see some of the plants back there. One of my favorite plants is the Japanese bloodgrass. I love the way the sun shines through the red leaves in the early morning and late afternoon. The plants in this grouping are in pots because they're beneath about a 100-year-old native oak tree. And because we have dry summers in California, the native plants need to go dry. And if you irrigate beneath them, you can actually kill them through root rot. So I plant everything beneath trees in pots and put concrete pads under the pots to keep the roots of the oak tree dry. Another California native is the Arbutus marina, otherwise known as the strawberry tree. And I just love it because it gets these wonderful bell-shaped flowers, as well as fruit that will turn yellow and eventually red. But it doesn't taste very good, not a bit like a strawberry. This is a redbud tree, but it's the forest pansy variety, and it likes to be an understory tree where it gets shade most of the day. This tree should have been about twice as tall, but when it was young and very slender, it was hit by a strong windstorm and it snapped in half. I think the short squatty tree is actually really very pretty.
We get dozens of birds here every day. One of the most prevalent birds are the goldfinch. They're the ones there on the finch sock that's filled with thistle. And by the end of the day, they will literally drain that entire sock.
I really love daylilies, and I have about 50 of them in the yard in all different colors. The ones near the pond are yellow and orange. But if you're looking for a low-maintenance plant, a daylily's really not the plant for you, because the flowers only last a day. They need to be plucked every day, deadheaded, and the bottom leaves tend to turn yellow as new leaves come out, and those need to be pulled out about once a week. This is another really amazing plant. It's a kangaroo paw. It's a native of Australia, and it has all these great little fuzzy flowers on it. Doesn't take too much water, and the hummingbirds love it. Most people think of wisteria as a spring blooming plant, and this does get covered with purple blooms in April of every year. But come July, after the leaves are on, I get a second bloom, and I think it's gorgeous. Before we go to see the pond and the fish, let's go see a few things on the other side of the yard. Butterfly bushes are not only beautiful, but they're also quite fragrant, and they do attract butterflies. This bush attracts a lot of swallowtails, and yesterday I saw a monarch on it. One of my favorite trees is the weeping crabapple tree up there. In the early spring, it's covered with gorgeous pink blooms, and I think it looks pretty throughout the year. If I didn't prune it, it would hang to the ground. The albizia, or mimosa tree, is really gorgeous, providing a lot of shade for the back of the yard. And during the summer, it gets those wonderful salmon-colored powder puff flowers on it. The pergola is a great place to hang out on a hot summer day. It's also a great place to enjoy the waterfall, the pond, and the fish. Thanks for joining us today and for taking a tour of my garden. And I hope someday you can come and join us in person.